Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome to the Way of Spirit Awakening. I am your hostess, Akuyo Graham, founder, executive director, and CEO of Spirit Awakening Foundation. And truly, it is my joy to welcome you to the Way of Spirit Awakening. So let me just look over here at the Instagram and welcome all of you. I know some of you are joining on Instagram, on YouTube, on our Facebook Live, and I think our website as well. So wherever you're coming from, wherever you're joining us from, know that you are truly welcome. It is my joy to be here with you this afternoon. And I want to acknowledge and say bravo, brava to you for making the time to give yourself this time to be curious about the way of spirit awakening. As some of you may know, and perhaps you may not know, I began the work of Spirit Awakening 27 years ago as a volunteer. I walked into the juvenile halls and the probation facilities, camps for youth, for young people, for children. And I began volunteering my time. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to help young people not have to struggle or suffer in the particular ways that they sometimes do during those turbulent teenage years, in the ways which I had suffered. Um, and I suffered because I was plagued with really self-loathing, and it was because I didn't not just didn't like myself, I didn't really know myself. It's so interesting to loathe something you don't even know. I didn't like anything about me, the way I looked, the color of my skin, the texture of my hair, the features on my face. And yes, there are many reasons why. However, that's what I was going through as a teenager in England after leaving Ghana, West Africa. And so, as a young adult, I wanted to move past that. It was necessary for me to move past that. And so came about the creation of the Spirit Awakening program, which is now entitled, the full program is called Rites of Passage with a W. The first level is called Unmasking Your Authentic Voice. And that really was all born from my own process, from my own curiosity, from my own self discovery, my own journey of self discovery. And I'm so grateful. Some of the teachers I have had along the way include Reverend Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, Sanford Meisner, who was the great acting teacher, Reverend Coco Stewart, Reverend Joan Stedman, Lorene Bellissima is now her name. I've just worked with so many incredible practitioners that have helped me along this journey to recognize that this is actually a spiritual journey. Although I have a body and I am in human form, and everything my eyes tell me is that this is all physical, and it is to a certain degree, it's actually a journey of the spirit. For I am a spiritual being having a human incarnation. And so, as I began the curious journey of discovering myself, I began to write down some of the discoveries. I wrote down some of the processes and practices that I went through, and that culminated in what is now known as rites of passage. The first level, as I said, is unmasking your authentic voice. And so I wanted to offer you this opportunity today to have a taste of what we call the way of spirit awakening. When I would go into the camps and the halls, one of my team members, the great artist Ahmad, just reminded me, we have these children in our classes in the juvenile halls and camps for maybe 1 hour, and then we never see them again. So in that short time that we have to connect, I wanted to have a program wherein they could connect in whatever little time I had with them. Sometimes they were in my classes for a week or 2 weeks or a month, 6 months, a year. That is very rare. Most often, though, they were there for a short amount of time. And so, whatever little time I had with these children, I wanted to give them something. I wanted to give them a way to be able to connect with themselves, to connect with themselves so that no matter what the circumstances were, no matter what the experience, the conditions they were growing through in that moment, whatever moment it was, they had a way to connect with something that was real, which is their true self. And so was born the program Unmasking Your Authentic Voice. This level one of the Rites of Passage program has participants contemplating a series of questions and then responding to that inquiry by writing down the questions. Now our organization has grown and we can contemplate these questions and respond to them, whether it's writing, dancing, acting, painting, drawing, creating some jewelry. There's so many ways, taking a photograph, singing. There's so many ways that we can respond to this work and to the inquiry of the authentic voice. It's interesting. I was listening to Gabor Mate recently, a brilliant, brilliant soul that is doing a lot of work helping people get free from addiction. And he was saying how, the way of the soul is authenticity. Yet we all live in a world that does not really respect authenticity, that doesn't support authenticity. It just doesn't. Anyway, that is the work of Spirit Awakening. I realized very quickly on that in order for me to really thrive in my life, I had to be authentic to myself. I had to be true to me. Now, I know this is not earth shattering news. It's not new. It's simple. The work of Spirit Awakening is simple, and we're proud of that. It's not some heavy duty theoretical something. It's very simple, which does not mean simplistic. Big difference. Simple oftentimes is very difficult to achieve, you know, but that's the work, the way of the Spirit Awakening program. So I hope you'll have questions that perhaps you can write in the Instagram or you can email us perhaps or put it in the chat. I do have 2 workshops that are coming up in January. One will be online via Zoom, and the other will be in person for those that are local, or if you're planning a trip to Los Angeles towards mid to the end of January of 2023. I will be offering a workshop as a way to kickstart our new year, to embrace that which is new in us, and to really move forward with the intention to thrive, to flourish. That is the intention. So, again, I want to welcome you to the Way of Spirit Awakening. First, I'll give you an overview, and then we'll have one of these exercises, one of my favorite exercises that we do, which is really the undergirding of all the work we do to discover that which is authentic, that which is real, to discover the true voice. And voice isn't just the speaking voice, voice is the character, to discover who we really are when we have the courage to reveal ourselves underneath all the masks that society encourages us to wear. I mean, you look at TV commercials, and I'm an actor. I make commercials. I love commercials. Some of them are very inventive, creative, and funny. And yet, most commercials, the majority of them, their intention is to make each of us feel not good enough, just so we can go buy the product, And so, to have the courage to walk in this world unmasked, revealing our true self, that is an act of bravery. That takes enormous amount of strength and grit and power because our society doesn't function that way and doesn't ultimately really support that. But that is our key to freedom, to true freedom. As I said earlier, we go into the juvenile halls and camps and work with children that are incarcerated. Back in the day when I first started, some of these children, like I said, I would only meet them one time. I had one moment to make a difference, to be the difference in their lives, not just make a difference, to be that difference. Because some of them were leaving and they were going to serve years in prison. Some of them were leaving and, I'd hear they were killed on the street. Some of them were killed inside these facilities. They died somehow. Some of them committed suicide, and a handful were released. But this is the work that we do at Spirit Awakening. We so this work, let me say this, was created with a sense of urgency, because it was indeed an urgent task that lay before me to help these children find inner freedom so they could navigate their way through all the systems that they had to navigate their way through all the different spaces and places that they had to go through, called the juvenile system. And some of them, when they left these systems, had to go into spaces in their homes that weren't necessarily safe, you know? So, again, the work is urgent. So, as you can see, I have my two beautiful angels, my two guides with me here, Amma and Hunter. And we're trying this for the first time. So, we're, trying lighting to make sure that I'm well lit so you can see me. And it's our first time doing this. So please bear with us, have some patience as we get it just right for all of you so you can have a truly wonderful experience of being with us here during the way of Spirit Awakening. So take a deep breath. Maybe roll the shoulders. If you have your cell phone with you, and who doesn't have a cell phone? Put it on vibrate or perhaps turn it off so that you are unencumbered. And why don't we try one of the exercises from unmasking your authentic voice? All right? Unmasking your authentic voice. This level one, as I said earlier, has a series of questions that we contemplate. And then we respond by writing. My chosen discipline, artistic discipline, is writing and acting. And so when I created this curriculum, this program, it was a writing program. As I said, now I get to work with a group of artists that are extraordinary, extraordinary. And some are musicians, actors, dancers, um, photographers, painters, graphic designers. They do so many different things, which is so beautiful. My discipline is writing. So as we go through this first exercise, if writing is not your thing, that's okay. I invite you to give it a try, but if not, perhaps your response may come through drawing something, painting something, or taking a photograph, or writing a song, singing a song, or creating some movement, you know? Whatever is your way to express, I encourage that and I support that. So find space. If it feels safe to you to close your eyes where you are now, I invite you to do so. It's not required. However, we close the eyes just to help mitigate any disturbances, any distractions that may be in our environment. So that's one of the reasons we close the eyes. So I invite you to close your eyes now, and we'll move into the Who Am I, which is our first exercise we do in the Spirit Awakening program. Such a simple question. Who am I? 3 words. And as when I teach artists to, when I'm training, I always tell them the question is never who are you? It is always who am I? We never ask our students or program participants, well, who are you? Who are you separates us from the participants. Who am I includes the I am. It's mystical. It's mystical. No matter what religious path you may or may not be on, what spiritual path you may or may not be on, the I am. Who am I? This question has been posed throughout the ages. And so it carries a lot of weight. It's powerful. And so let's close the outer eye, mitigating any distractions. Take a few breaths. Always, I like to begin with gratitude. So find one something that you can be grateful for in this moment, whatever that may be. Perhaps grateful that, hey, I can breathe. Grateful that I'm here. I have my senses. I have life. I'm alive. I'm awake. I'm aware. I am grateful. And in this atmosphere of gratitude, I invite you to ask yourself this simple question: who am I? Who am I underneath my name, underneath my age, underneath the color of my skin? Who am I? What is my purpose for being, for being alive? Who am I? How do I really walk and talk? What is the sound of my true voice? Who am I underneath what my family thinks of me, what my friends think of me, even underneath what I think of myself? Who am I? What is my purpose for being alive? What is the sound of my true voice? Who am Who am I? Underneath my name, underneath my age, underneath the color of my skin. Who am I? What is my purpose for being alive? And so we contemplate that question, the who am I? It's a powerful question. And then I would invite participants to respond to that question. Notice I love language. And when I'm teaching, I use language sparingly and discerningly. So notice I said not write your answers to the question, I said respond because it's a response. So I'm not sure if you can chat somewhere or write something down or if you want to share something or ask any questions. Do I have anyone asking questions? Hunter, maybe?
Truly Bree says thank you for your work.
Truly, I just love your name, Truly. Thank you for being here. Really, thank you so much. Has anyone, if you want to take a few moments to ask questions, to dialogue with me, next time we'll be on Zoom so we can chat with each other. But when I did that exercise, that was at the beginning of also writing my one woman play, Spirit Awakening, which has now been turned into a feature film. um, I went out to Joshua Tree, and after writing, going through that process, the Who Am I process, one of the poems in the play was, let me see if I can remember a few verses from it. I said in response to the question, Who am I? I am the African who knows the strength of each tight curl upon her head. I am the ancestors whose tribal conflicts embellished their own enslavement. I am the mother and father who will heal the pain inflicted on their stolen children that sailed away upon the crying waters of the Atlantic. I am the daughter who treasures her mind, respects her body. So that was some of what I came up with. Another piece was drums in my heart, drums in my soul, beating, beating. Feel the seductive rhythms pulsating through my veins. I am an ancient warrior. Head held high, feet set firmly in the ground, tall spine, no need for fighting or bloodshed. Centered in myself, a look, a word, a sigh, or a dazzling smile brings peace. Inner truth slays all injustice. Compassion cradles and uplifts my soul. Color me African. I am an ancient warrior. Come at last. Being, just being. So when I came upon that, that was my response to that question. It was so liberating, so freeing, very cathartic for me. And I wrote an entire one woman piece out of that. And out of that, I was able to travel around the United States, got paid very well. I was on a traveling circuit, sometimes following after Bill Clinton, Jerry Seinfeld. I was traveling all over the country. Who would have thought? And I remember one time being in a hotel and thinking, wow, I wrote this. This came through me. And they're paying me $5,000 to come perform this and then do a workshop. So now it would be like 10, 20 grand, out of a simple inquiry. So again, going back to what I said earlier, simple doesn't mean simplistic. And I think sometimes we get those things, confused. We mix them up. We think if something is simple, it's simplistic. Not so. We want simple. We want simple. Life is very simple. Do unto others as you want them to do unto you. You know, love thy neighbor. Life is simple. Life is for me. Life is simple. We twisted it and made it so difficult. So again, going back to the work that I do, the way of spirit awakening, when we have these precious, precious children in our care and safekeeping, we have them for such a short amount of time. And in that time, we've been tasked to make a connection, to guide them, to support them, to love them back to themselves, to have so much love in the space that they can love themselves, and know that they are all right exactly as they are. If they have to grow, it's okay. If they have to make adjustments, it's okay. Who doesn't? And at this moment, I do again want to give a shout out to Hunter and Amma that are with me in the studio. um, I had a board meeting today, and afterwards, I had a meeting, and completely forgot that I had to be here at 3. And so they gently prodded me and texted me, and are you on your way? Are you coming? It's like, oh, they did it with such loving kindness. There was no condemnation, no judgment, and isn't that what we all want? We all fall down. We all make missteps, mistakes. But when we do, don't we wish we had people around us that would just love us back to ourselves? So anyway, so this is the Spirit Awakening Way. If any of this has resonated with you at all, if any of this has touched you in any way, then I invite you to join me for the actual workshop. We have two. One will be on Zoom. What is the date, Amma Hunter? I forgot the date. January, I think the 14th. Georgia, if you're watching, Georgia is our coup at Spirit Awakening Foundation, a brilliant young musician, artist. I know I shared them. So forgive me, y'all. Like I said, this is our first time doing this. So we're kind of just going along with it. It'll be January, I think the 14th, because it's a Saturday. I know I'm going to do one before Martin Luther King Jr.'s national holiday. And I believe that is January 14th. And that'll be via Zoom. And I believe it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific time from like 10 to 2. Excuse me, 10 to 2, 10 to 12, 2 hours. It's, a- oh, yes. And so, and what are they? Uh, Dear Amma and Hunter are speaking, guiding me through this, holding my hands. You'll be given so many tools with this. And one of the tools is the book, the little book of transformation, which our entire curriculum is based on. So, joining the workshop, you will be given that. And for the in person workshop, that'll be January 21st, the following Saturday. That'll be in person at our one of the conference rooms at our WeWork offices in Playa Vista. So if you're in the Los Angeles area, or if you're flying to LA, or you want to make a special trip to come join us on Saturday, January 21st, again, I believe it'll be 10 a.m. Pacific time. That'll be 3 hours. And we'll have a break, we'll have snacks, you'll get the book. And I believe one of the things you'll also get is perhaps a lunch date with me. So I have to look and see what all we're offering. But anyway, we'll have flyers ready and we can send it to you with more details right after the Thanksgiving holiday. So, but we wanted to give you a taste today so you would have a sense of what you would be experiencing if you joined us with the Spirit Awakening workshop in January. What a wonderful way to kickstart the new year, don't you think? So we can thrive and flourish, with the intention of being our true self, with the intention of honoring who we really are, with the intention of respecting, loving, embracing, accepting the authentic voice, that which is authentic in us. So that's what we're doing.
So we have one question.
Oh, yes.
Jaya is asking, can she use this to figure out what she wants to major in college?
Absolutely. Jaya, you're asking if you can use this to figure out what you want to major in college. Absolutely. One of the questions in our process is, what is my purpose for being alive? And so when you give yourself the space to ask those questions and you give yourself the time, the love and the respect to just be with those questions, the response from your own inner knower, the response will come from you. It may not happen right in that instant, but it may happen when you're taking a walk, doing the dishes. It may happen when you're on the phone and a click will happen. I can't tell you, for instance, yesterday I was doing some work and I've been getting a nudge to reach out to a particular person. Now, this person has been very, they're very busy and very hard to reach, but I kept getting the nudge, reach out to them, when I wasn't even thinking about it. I was writing and I was doing dishes. It's like, reach out. So I said, okay, it keeps coming to me to reach out. I sent an email, got a response right away. I mean, it was as if they'd been waiting for me. So the same way when we do this work, if you're trying to figure out your major, what you want to do with your life, first of all, I during the workshop, you'll be reminded that life is a gift, and I don't say that as some airy fairy new agey thing. We all have gifts to give. That is why we're here. And so when you open yourself up to know your purpose for being alive, for being what you are here for, you are opening up your world to yourself and you will know what it is you're here to do. That's a guarantee, not from me, from yourself. So I hope that answered your question, Jaya. But the answer is the response is yes. This absolutely will help you figure out what your major will be in college. It'll help you figure out the gifts you want to give. And in fact, we have one of the activities we'll engage in. It's called the Winner's Circle. And in the winner's circle, you'll get to actually play act. We'll do an improvisation where you'll play act your true self and talk through your true self about the work that you're doing out in the world. This is so powerful. As you may already know, our minds do not know what's real or make believe. That's a fact. I didn't make that up. And so when we imagine something and we can imagine it and believe it, the mind just thinks it's true. All it knows is that it's true. That's why Einstein, gave so much merit to the imagination, more so than knowledge. Anyone can acquire knowledge, and knowledge is good. It's wonderful to have knowledge. Anyone can acquire that. The imagination, though, that's something else altogether. To be able to imagine that which did not exist and then birth it, pretty powerful. We are all so much more powerful than we give credence to, than we can ever believe. And so to participate in this workshop at the beginning of the year, you're setting yourself up for success. I mean, basically, that's what you're doing. You're setting yourself up for success. And that's the other thing, in our society, we're always taught, well, save up for a rainy day, if the other shoe drops, and that's all, it's fine. But there's been so much emphasis on that. You know what I have discovered and what I see? Most people are not ready for their success. When it comes, it comes. I mean, it's energy. And most people just are not prepared for it. They're so busy preparing for that rainy day. And let's face it, in Southern California, anyway, we don't get a whole lot of rain, so you're preparing for something that isn't even going to happen, okay? But we're taught to prepare for when the other shoe drops, when something goes quote unquote bad. Let's flip that script. I want to see schools, and that's what we do at Spirit Awakening again, really help students prepare for their success. What do you do when you make that phone call and the person answers that you've been trying to reach for maybe months, maybe years even? What are you going to say? What do you do? Are you ready to receive it? And most of us have inhibitors. It's hard for us to receive. It's hard for us to receive love, to receive compliments. So therefore, when the success, is there that you've worked so hard for, the saboteur kicks in. And most people sabotage themselves. They sabotage themselves. And so we don't want to do that. So really, in essence, this work will help us all prepare for our success. So when we finally have the things we've been praying, confirming, affirming, and pleading for, we know what to do with it. We know how to navigate it. We know how to hold it. We know how to grow it. We know how to sustain it because we've been prepared for it. You see. Do I have any other questions from anyone? Any responses?
The pearl of great price.
The pearl of great price. Was reminding me that's the other exercise we'll get to look at in the program. The pearl of great price is that which is hard won, is what I like to call it. And the example I love using, if you have a washing machine, most washing machines, most of them, or a lot of them, I don't know if they still do, but they have a cycle called to agitate. That's the cycle where the clothes are being actually washed. To agitate is like to get on your nerves, to stop agitating me. So the pearl of great price is that which agitates. Because what that's doing is, you could say, it's cleansing that which no longer serves in us. It's cleansing it out of us. So it's going to irritate us until it cleanses it out of us, until we're able to extract that pearl of great price. What is that pearl of great price? That is that hard won, you know, what shall I say? Wisdom, hard won wisdom, for which we are so grateful. We may not like the way we got to that wisdom, to that knowing, and that's okay. We don't have to like everything, but we have it and we treasure it because it was hard won. It irritated, made us cry, made us get down on our knees. But boy, once we got to the other side of it, we got through it. Whew, we'll never forget. It's like it was a lesson that, wow, wow, wow. We all know, right? There's no life that doesn't have that kind of experience. No one, no matter what your circumstance may be, no matter how much you may or may not have. We all go through it. That's a guarantee in life. So we want to know how to navigate through the terrain that is life, with all of its unknowns, how to be with that which we don't know. One of the things I love when I'm teaching is when I'm asked something and I can say, oh, I don't know. How many times do you hear teachers say that? I don't know. It's such a beautiful thing. We don't know everything. It's refreshing. And actually, again, when I can be authentic, when I can be real and say, oh, I don't know, that provides the space for knowing. In essence, when I say I don't know, what I'm really saying is I'm inviting the knowing. I'm inviting the knowingness in that moment. And because I didn't resist not knowing, I now am prepared to know. It's funny how that happens, isn't it? It's a paradox, yet it's true. That's the way it is. And then we also look at the silence. We use silence a lot in the workshops, in our programs. The silence. What is peace? It's not just the absence of war. Many people, there are places where there's no war. Is there peace? No, no. Because most people are in a state of agitation and they're resisting it so they don't, get cleansed. And I don't mean that in a religious way. I'm just meaning they don't get to release that which no longer serves because of the resistance. So there's no peace. We want to be in a state of peace. We want to be in that flow, you know. Resist not. It is what it is. It's happening. Doesn't mean I can't have a response. I can. I'm just not in a state of resistance. So I'm not causing myself to suffer. I'm not bringing suffering into the equation because I'm in a space of non-resistance.
So we have a question.
Yes.
Someone is
Alright.
asking about how does this program approach students that have mental illnesses like anxiety, depression, or even are suicidal?
That's a great question. Again, because we begin with the who am I. And first of all, even before we start a program, one of the things we do at Spirit Awakening is create a space, a safe space together with our students. We invite each student to tell us what they need to feel safe in the space that we are creating. I think one of the things, again, that in classrooms isn't typically done. There's the teacher. I'm the teacher and you're not. This is my classroom and you're just here to learn. And it's all of our classroom. Everybody in the room is creating the class. The class isn't something that's been created that you just kind of stumble into. We are creating it moment by moment. So it's important to invite everyone to be able to articulate what they need. So if someone's feeling incredibly anxious or has suicidal ideations, that's the other thing. I was talking to someone the other day, and at Spirit Awakening, if someone says, "Yeah, I don't even know why I'm alive. Maybe I'd be better off dead. We don't go, raise the red flag, don't say that, don't think that. That's perfectly natural, actually, to have a moment where you do inquire, what is this? What is this life? What am I doing? Why am I here? What does this mean? So again, we don't shun away. We don't make people feel wrong for inquiring certain things. We don't have all the answers. We create a safe space together with program participants. We ask each of them what they need to feel safe in that space so they can excel, so they can bring their best foot forward. And even if someone says, I don't know, say, okay, it's okay not to know right now. Perhaps you'll know later. So then once we've created the safe space and made a commitment to that, it changes everything. I tell you this is what I know, it's what I've experienced. It just immediately lays a whole nother environment in the room. And people do feel safer, they do feel like they can open up. So if someone is going through something, they'll tell us. And then what we do, if someone says, well, can I speak to you afterwards, which has happened to me many times, this is happening in my home, this is what I'm feeling, then we can, together with that person, devise ways in which they can be supported. And that would include, because we are mandated reporters when we're in the schools, that would include letting the teachers know, and we can write letters, we can go with them to see a teacher or a principal or a counselor, letting them know that our intention is to support them, not to judge, not to condemn them, not to make them wrong, but to support them and to help them thrive, to help them heal from whatever they're going through. And if they need extra support, we are there to help them get that extra support that they need.
Mati is asking, at what exact moment or through what experience did you then realize that you wanted to start a foundation such as Spirit Awakening, Directee? And if you haven't,
Okay, great. And I love your questions, everybody. Um, once Spirit Awakening, the idea came for the foundation. I was sitting in the back of the Agape Sanctuary, my spiritual center where I go, where I receive my inspiration so often. And the idea came, I just heard the name Spirit Awakening Foundation. I remember thinking, oh, that's pretty cool. I love that name. That was it. Again, life knows. Akuyo likes names, unmasking your authentic voice, rites of passage. I love language. So once the idea for the name came, I was in. I was all in. It had me. The foundation had me. I was like, cool, I'm going to do it. Didn't know what it meant. I didn't know about philanthropy. I didn't know about the work of nonprofits. But I was guided. The important thing is I said yes. I said yes. And that's the other thing too. The yes factor. It's so important. Again, so many people count out their own ideas. They're very dismissive. We're in a society, again, as Gabor Mate said, doesn't really believe in authenticity, doesn't support it. And so often someone gets an idea and they're the first one to dismiss it. I would say that with me, I'm contrary to that. And I'm grateful for it. That when I get an idea, I'm all in, and I will try. Doesn't mean every idea succeeds. They don't, but I'm all in. Oh, that's a great idea. Let me try it. Let me go for it. So the yes factor is important. So once I heard the name and I thought of that name, it came to me, I was all in it and it was a yes. And then I was guided what I needed to do, whom I needed to meet, and I would. And the beginning was so sweet. Again, thank you, life, because if it had been really difficult, I probably would have gone, the nonprofit world is not for me. My beginning was so sweet. I had tremendous support. I had a tremendous resources and my passion. People could really feel that I was passionate about what I was talking about, what I wanted to do. And it gave me a way to use my artistic, creative talents in a meaningful way, which is all I've ever wanted to do with my acting, with my voiceover work, whatever I do artistically, with my writing, I've always just wanted to do something meaningful. That's been always what I wanted to do, to help. I just wanted to help. I wanted to be of service. I've always said that even as a child. It's what I did. I remember in England, I grew up in London. I went to primary school in London. And when I would finish school, I would bring kids home for my mother to feed. And God bless her, she fed them. What do you do when your child brings people home for you to feed? So I share that to say there's always been something in me that's always wanted to share and help and give. And this work has really supported me, encouraged me, and helped me to continue to do that, to support, to help, to give.
We have another question
Yes.
from Gail Klein. Who is the workshop for? Anyone, young people, people who might want to do these workshops? And is there an intended audience?
Beautiful question, Sister Gail. Gail Klein, another brilliant artist. When Gail was in LA, in fact, we talked about training Gail. And Gail, I'm going to say this out loud, one of the things I'm interested in is bringing the program to other states, other places. I know that we're looking at bringing it to Massachusetts because my dear friend, Sister Martha, board member as well, who's been trained to teach our program, is has a home in Massachusetts, and so she wants to bring our program there. So to answer your question, finally, the workshop is for anyone. It's for young people. It's for older people, and we actually have a training program for those who would like to teach the Spirit Awakening program. So if that's something you're interested in, Gail, we can talk about that, later, and then I can let you know the next time we do a training. So in terms of the January workshops, these are being offered to the general public so that, like I said, I really wanted to support people in kicking off the new year 2023 in a powerful, beautiful way so that we can set the intention to thrive, to flourish, to be of and enjoy, to really give our gifts, to really be creative, to like just blow the roof off and be our creative selves. That's the intention for these workshops, and my two favorite words, thriving and flourishing. So if that's something you want to do for the new year, look, we've just come through COVID. We've just come through really 2-3 years of intense isolation. It's been an intense time for all of humanity, and so the world is not the same. It's not the same world as it was 3 years ago. It's a new world. It's a new day. So we want to make sure that we are new, that we are really embracing that which is new in us to meet the demands of this new world. And part of that demand is creativity. We are all being tasked and invited to be more creative than we've ever been before. We are all being invited and tasked to be courageous, to be brave, to be fearless in our loving, in our living, in our creativity. That's the charge right now. So I wanted to offer this, so that people can feel ready. This is one of the things you can do. It's a new year. Let me anchor the new year with all that is new in me in a way that will help me succeed. So this, you could say, is one of the ways that a person can prepare for their success. Because as I said, most people are not prepared for the success. And I've seen it time and time again. They're just not. You'd think they'd have the resumes ready. It's not. It's like even when I was younger, I'm really good at being disciplined. When I was younger, I used to the days of the week I had, each day I had different tasks that I prepared for me as an actor. So I was on a soap opera. I got that on my own without an agent because I had 2 days of the week that was dedicated to that. On a Tuesday, I would make cold calls. Many people hung up, some didn't. On the Wednesday, then I would, respond to letters and things of that nature. I became one of the first actors of African descent, one of the first Black actors to integrate. There was a company in New York called Circle Repertory Company. It had all the great stars in it: William Hurt, just it's so many people, the late great Christopher Reeves. And I became a member of that company. You know how I did it? I wrote them. every week. I didn't take no for an answer. No is not. No is not the end. No doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's just that moment. And I was so persistent. They finally said, "Good grief! Why don't you come in for an interview and an audition?" Because I knew that when they saw my work, they couldn't say no, and they didn't. So again, that's being prepared for your success. And I was ready when they said come in. I said when. I had my scene partner, I had everything ready. Most people aren't prepared that way. They just are not, you know? So I would say to anyone listening, make this one of the things you do to prepare for your success in the new year. And say that again, Amma.
All proceeds go to
Oh,
Spirit
yes.
Awakening.
And all the proceeds from doing this work goes to support our work at Spirit Awakening Foundation. So it's a win-win for everyone. You get to participate in a workshop that will support you in your success, in your creativity, and you get to support the work of Spirit Awakening Foundation as well. So there you have it. Do we have any more questions or any responses? Anything anybody wants to say? In the last few minutes that we have together. So happy for all the people that have joined, that have come through. Thank you so much to my friends that are here. Your participation means the world to me. And as you're writing your questions, I just again want to give a shout out to my team at Spirit Awakening, to again Amma and Hunter and Georgia and Moss and Michael Dyer, William B.T. Taylor. BT, condolences. I know BT's mom made her transition just recently. So our love to you, BT. We all love you so much and are holding you in love and prayer. Martha, my beloved Martha, thank you for being here. Board member, any other board members, I don't know who's here, Nabude is here, or Peter, or um, Bert. Even if you're not here, I love the board. Pluto and India and Jason and everyone on the board. Lynn Kitchen, thank you so much, all of you. I love you so very much. And let's see. Again, all the Spirit Awakeners, Corey, Tyler, love you, Corey. And I saw your email with all your ideas. I can't wait to hear what those ideas are. So thank you for that. Let's get the program into more schools. I totally agree. Any more questions, Sama? Any more questions, Hunter?
Andrea Leclerc says, thank you.
Oh, Andrea, thank you, beauty. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. I do not take it for granted.
And to invite them to watch our Instagram so they can hear directly from our students how
Okay.
transformative the work is.
Fantastic. Amma was just reminding me, we're very active on social media now, thanks to Amma Hunter and Georgia, who've taken it in. And so, check out our Instagram and Facebook pages, because you can hear directly from our students. When we take them on field trips, you can see quotes from some of the writings they do. You can see some of the samples of their artwork and some of their creations. So that's one way to do that as well. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, please do sign up for the newsletter so you can again, stay in the loop of what's going on at Spirit Awakening. And
And we have just one more comment. Gail Klein says, I really appreciate the questions of who am I beneath what my family thinks of me and beneath what other people's thoughts are of me. Even my own thoughts of me.
That's
Powerful
right.
questions at any age.
That's right, Gail. You are right. It's hands down my favorite exercise. And Amma was reminding me, the beauty of that exercise, and what makes it so powerful, is that it immediately brings you to center. And she was reminding me, most workshops, you kind of work your way to get to that. We start there. So can you imagine? We start there. That's our starting point. Because again, we don't have all the time in the world. You gotta jump to it. Gotta get to center. So I have kudos, Gail. I agree with you. It's a powerful, powerful exercise, and it can bring forth so much. It certainly has for me. So I think our time together is just about done. And so, thank you so much for being here. Again, look for the flyers. We'll send them out. We'll post them for the workshops in January. If not for yourself, perhaps you know someone that you can gift this workshop to in January. But please, when you do see the flyers and the announcement, share them with your friends, families, and relations and on your social media. And let's help as many people as we can prepare for their greatness and success, their creativity, so they can give the gifts that they uniquely were incarnated to give. Okay? So thank you so much for being with us here at Spirit Awakening. We love you. We truly, truly are grateful for your presence and for your time with us today. So namaste, richest blessings. Bye for now. Yeah.